Okay, Jennifer, here's your hope.
Give me hope, Linda.
Called, it's the exact same thing as when you're refining gold. It gets worse. Okay, it gets hotter. It gets hotter. It has to get hotter, hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter.
Before
the toxins, before the impurities, before the impurities float to the top. Once the impurities float to the top, they're scraped off, and now you've got pure gold. And you can see this happening with what? Our millennials. Our millennials have arrived.
Yes.
They came and they stayed connected. They get it. Right? So what's happening is people are literally leaving. They're dying. Right? And the new generation is rising.
Right. Wow. Yeah, there's so much to unpack, right, with the injustices of the world, and certainly what's going on now, the temperature that this has kind of, well, the vibration, right, that the
people
world,
are waking up and they're
right?
taking sides.
Yes. And we needed that.
Yeah. Right. And the planet, like Samantha always talks about, is how the planet is, like we're this close to not being able to like pull it back to any kind of health. Right. And Terry was just saying there's like massive melting. I mean, we heard about all the climate change, but like there's some really big shit going on right now, And so like what happened in Noah's day, it's like all flooded. The planet, and Samantha knows more about that than I ever will, and maybe the planet can't, like get all flooded out, everybody die and rejuvenate itself because it got to the point where it's now like Mars or something where you don't grow grass or something. I don't know. I guess that could happen too. It's just, we've always had fires like Australia, it's just, it reminds me of the toxicity levels and how our kids have come in with disabilities, differences, if you will, like the kids with autism, like higher and higher and higher rates and stuff like that. Those are the real connected ones. Those are the ones that really get it. It just amazes me.
Well, I'm very grateful that the millennials were raised by different parents, right? And
absolutely. Now that's why they stayed awake.
Right? And I know the millennials get a bad rap, and maybe a lot of it is because they say they're demanding. Really, maybe they just grew up in a time where they learned not to tolerate things.
Where they had a voice, they were allowed.
Yes.
They were allowed to have a voice. That was part of the upbringing, like my daughter, she's like, I hate you. And I go, I hate you too. Now get in the car. It's like, whatever. Get your butt in the car. And she just went, like, you're not supposed to say that. And it's like, whatever, it's just words. We're not really saying that to each other now, are we?
Right. I feel too that we have grown up emotionally. So, my mom, when my parents raised me, conflict was, just lift up the carpet and sweep it under there. Lots of secrets, lots of
skeletons in the closet,
right? Like appearance.
Children in the closet.
Very concerned about what others think of them and their appearance, right? Everybody, well, the 1960s mom that, dad comes home and she's nicely dressed with lipstick on.
Yes.
Kids are all freshly bathed and ready to go.
My mother-in-law had 11 months apart, 15 months apart, her big spread, 2 years apart, 4 kids. She sewed all their clothes. When she was pregnant, she painted the entire house. Every time she was pregnant, she repainted, touched up the house. When they would go to a picnic, they would be in these, nice, clean clothes. She'd feed them lunch, and then she'd strip them all down, all 4 of them, and put fresh clothes on them.
Right.
Right. And so I met her when she's in menopause, where she's, you know, crying her eyes out, and watched her year after year after year back off of all this crazy perfectionist shit, you know.
Yes.
It was really fun to watch.
Yes. And
she cried if I didn't want to have dinner there. Like, I mean, they have, not even dinner. I don't even mean that. She's like, you know, would you like something to eat? No. She'd go upstairs and cry about that. Like,
wow.
From the farm, so you come over, you eat, you know, it's like when I was resettling Russian refugees, it's like all about food. It's like, no, it's not all about food for me. So, and you want to go upstairs and cry, that's your problem. I'm a thinker, I'm not a feeler. You're not going to get me. You know, it ain't going to change my behavior, in my opinion.
Right.
So, we'll have to get along on a different level here.
Well, yeah, and she didn't know that, right?
Yeah, right? You'd be one of those, like, oh, she doesn't want my cooking. That's so Indian, right?
No. So that's what I said. I'm a millennial. I don't care.
Oh, you don't go there. Yeah, so we get along fine. Got it.
Yes.